Ladies and gents, welcome to today's session, our 35th Free Friday Lunch webinar. And today we're talking about the main aspects around emotional wellness or the lack thereof. It's our last webinar for the year. We're all taking a break for Christmas and we'll kick off in January again. So, just for those of you who don't know me or us, I represent a company called Soldati, the Southern African Leadership Development and Training Institute, where we believe in growing leaders and impacting results. And we also operate in the space of emotional wellness and also partnering with a clinical psychologist, Tony de Gavea, a colleague and a friend of mine, in doing mental health programs for organizations. And as I'm chatting to you, I see a couple of people I still need to allow in. So apologies for the break in transmission. Right. So just a couple of housekeeping matters, just very quickly. First of all, I suggest, in terms of the content that I'm going to present to you, some of these areas you would have mastered, but some not. So I would suggest that you focus on those areas where you know you've got more work to do. Please mute unless you ask a question, and I typically would like to invite you, or ideally, to keep those to the end. Given the time constraint, we only have an half an hour together. I'll aim for 3 minutes Q&A at the end. Please mail me if you want to be added to my distribution list that I send out every month. And then, very importantly, please mail me with future topics. If there's any topics that you would like us to cover along the lines of leadership, emotional wellness, mental health, please send that to me and we'll gladly look at it and review it and cover it. This recording will be available on our website afterwards. Just give it a week or so. And just a kind request. I know it might sound like an odd request, but some of you might have joined those sessions where we had some people drawing on the screen. Please don't do that. Just keep your hands off the keyboard, because we do record these sessions also to be placed on our website afterwards. Right, so if you've missed the previous 34 and additional blogs as well of Free Friday Lunch webinars, you are invited to go to soldati.com, and then you can go to resources, insights, and you'll be able to access those previous webinars. My disclaimer is that I don't have the magic wand. You don't attend a half an hour session with Hekkie and all of a sudden all your emotional wellness challenges are addressed as far as today's topic is concerned. But I hope and I try to succeed in this, in providing you with different perspectives, which will hopefully enable you or allow you to live differently better, pave the way for you to live differently better. I want to invite you to reflect, to hold up the proverbial mirror and ask yourself where are the areas that you should be focusing on more. And here's another invitation. I want to invite you to pay it forward. It's the only way we can change this world. One of the big ways, rather, we can change this world is by paying it forward. If you identify what I'm covering with you in somebody else, please not only use these tools, methods, techniques for yourself, but share it with other people, and hopefully it will assist them in mastering emotional wellness. Right, so what is the difference between mental health and emotional wellness, you might ask? Well, mental health is the overarching term for overall psychological well-being, while emotional health, today's topic, is a component of mental health that focuses specifically on your ability to understand, manage, and express your emotions. So, if we look at the definition, it involves, I've also already read that first part, it involves being aware of your emotions, adapting to life's challenges, and maintaining a sense of balance in your thoughts and relationships. It's not about eliminating negative feelings, but learning to respond to them constructively. But the key on understanding, managing, and expressing your feelings in a healthy, constructive manner. So I'm going to give you more than only the emotional wellness definition per se. When I Googled in preparation for today, what are the current emotional challenges that we are faced or that people in the world experience, i.e., the topic of today, I got to this. The primary current emotional wellness challenges worldwide include a rising prevalence of anxiety, depression, and burnout, which will be the focus of today's discussion, which are exacerbated by digital dependency and social isolation, economic pressure, as in income, not getting enough money, can't make ends meet, also by global conflicts and persistent stigma around mental health care. So, again, I want to share with you tools, methods, and techniques to assist you in addressing these challenges, or hopefully most of these challenges. Now, I would like to provide you fresh content. There's a but, it's a good but, in the sense that for those of you who have journeyed with us across all the 35 sessions, including today, one or two things I might repeat because it's important and still relevant. So apologies upfront if I do that. But really what I want to do is I want to share with you my experiences in terms of what I've found works and what does not work, in the hope that it will assist you in applying what I've learned to address these challenges. Bearing in mind that we don't have a two-way communication mechanism apart from the Q&A at the end. I don't know it all, and I'm certainly not claiming that I know it all. I learn from you, you learn from me, right? So let's look at the first one. First of the three topics under emotional wellness. Dealing with anxiety. According to mental health, the Mental Health Foundation, anxiety is a common emotional state characterized by feelings of unease, such as worry or fear, that can range from mild to severe. Most people feel anxious from time to time, but here's the kicker. Again, it is a normal response to stress that can be beneficial, but it becomes a disorder only when it is excessive, persistent, and interferes with your daily life. And I want to start to share with you some thoughts around our view of life, of the things that we are dealing with in life. And this whole issue around negativity. Shout it out. Is there anything wrong? Please let me know. Is there anything wrong with that pizza? Anybody? Let's
Oh,
see.
it looks delicious.
Looks delicious. Rikus, you're clearly not an Enneagram 1.
There's a
Anybody
fly.
else?
There's a
Anybody else?
fly.
There's a fly. Who said that?
Hallo, hallo Hekkie,
Roald.
Roald hier.
Roald and I share the same birthday,
Birthday.
ladies and gents. So, absolutely, there's a fly on the pizza. But what happens is a lot of us focus on the fly on the pizza, and the pizza being our lives, as opposed to really appreciating the beautiful arrangement of ingredients. And here's the problem. As a result, we don't see the fly on the pizza. We see the pizza as a small pizza behind this massive fly. And that's the problem, because we keep on focusing on the challenges, on the negativity, as opposed to having a balanced view of our lives. And I'm not saying you have to be positive and just think everything is okay in life if it isn't. No, not at all. We need to be optimistic. And the Dalai Lama so beautifully says what optimism is. He says optimism doesn't mean that you are blind to the reality of the situation. It means that you remain motivated to seek a solution to whatever problem arises. Simon Sinek says optimism is the undying belief that there is a bright future and that we can get through what we're finding challenging right now, individually but also collectively as a team, if we stand together. I want to ask you, when last did you make a gratitude list? William Penn says, the secret of happiness is to count your blessings while others are adding up their troubles. Roughly 550 million people in Africa have to get by with 32 Rand of income every single day. Think about it. Schooling, clothing, housing, transport, etc., etc., etc. So the point is, as opposed to focusing on the pizza or the fly on the pizza rather, let's also focus on the beautiful rest of our lives that we've got in terms of what we should be thankful for in counting our blessings. And I think that is a big contributor to anxiety. We focus on all the things that could go wrong and that are wrong as opposed to having, once again, a balanced view. Here's another subtopic under anxiety. We want to ask you, what does your self-talk look like? Yes, we all talk to ourselves. If you don't talk to yourself, there's something wrong. A friend of mine said, as long as we don't lose an argument with ourselves, right? And in what you're telling yourself, is it your truth, my truth, or is it the real truth? Because we sometimes tell ourselves stories which is not a true reflection of reality. And as a result of that, we get anxious where we shouldn't because we told ourselves the wrong stories, as opposed to getting all the facts, as opposed to getting other people's perspectives and inputs in order to have a balanced view. I love this quote. Self-talk is the most powerful form of communication because it either empowers you or defeats you. Are you, ladies and gentlemen, in the way you speak to yourself, your own worst enemy, or are you your own best friend, which should be the case? Next subtopic under anxiety, which I believe is critical to look at and to master, is the ability to live in the present moment. If we fail to live in the present moment and we always worry about the future, and we too much delve into the past, where a guy like Steve Maraboli said, the past will be your teacher if you learn from it, but it will be your master if you stay in it. If we do one of those two things as opposed to living in the present moment, and we're constantly thinking of the future or the past, then we might think we're going to get to 80 years old one day, but actually we're going to get to 60 because for 20 years you were anxious in worrying about the future and worrying about what you did in the past. It's gone. Can't change it. Let it be. Focus on the here and the now. I'm saying to you and to me. And ask yourself, what is stopping you from living in the present moment? My wife bought me this book. Molly bought me this book 10 years ago. And when I was realizing, listen, I have a little bit of adult ADHD, or always focusing future, past, as opposed to here, she gave me this book. She says, read the date in the beginning of the book. I gave it to you 10 years ago. Maybe you want to read it now. And since then, I've been applying mindfulness and mindfulness meditation, as I did this morning, very effectively in order to be more present here and now. Focusing on my emotions, focusing on what I can hear, what I can see. And by following these practices, in general, I am more able to live in the here and the now. Please go and find out more about mindfulness and mindfulness meditation. This is a quote I put out a while ago on social media. Please don't let your future or your past be the thief of your present. A friend of mine that I met for the first time in the army in 1991. We kept contact, and about 6 months ago, I took him for a pizza lunch. And Rena asked me, how am I doing, and how's my business doing? And I basically, through our conversation and my feedback, he realized that I'm not really happy in terms of where I would like to be. And then he looked at me, he was like squinting. I said, what, Rene? He said, but you don't get it. I said, what don't I get? He said, you don't get it that God only gives you today, whoever your God is. You're only given today. You can't be certain of tomorrow. So make the best of today and experiencing the here and the now and what is here. Not what is past, which you can't change, and not on what is in the future, which you can't guarantee. Lao Tzu, the Chinese philosopher, said, if you're depressed, you're living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. And if you are at peace, you're living in the present. Second subtopic, dealing with depression. I just want to put a disclaimer out there. Ladies and gents, I'm not a trained psychologist, so please bear that in mind, and that's my disclaimer. I've got a PhD in leadership development. I'm a leadership consultant. But if what I say to you under this subtopic of depression works for you, please apply it. I will never share with you stuff that I don't firmly believe would make a difference. So what is depression? It's a common mental health disorder. Look at the word common. It's a common mental health disorder characterized by a persistent feeling of sadness and a loss of interest in activities and in life, I want to add. What happens if we leave it? If it's untreated, it can worsen, interfere with daily life, and lead to serious complications like substance abuse, suicidal thoughts, and increased risk of physical health problems. So it applies to our physical and mental state, body, mind, and soul. So to deal with depression, seek professional help through therapy or medication and incorporate lifestyle changes. That's what I want to focus on next. Like regular exercise, a balanced diet, and consistent sleeping habits. Look what they say at the end here. AI tells us it's also helpful to stay connected to friends and family. Very importantly, limit or avoid alcohol or drugs because that does not help. And engaging activities you enjoy just in general. And I think the most important thing when we talk about depression is our willingness to become vulnerable. Professor Breno Brown, who is the expert probably worldwide around vulnerabilities, he says, have the courage. Don't be scared. Ditch the fear. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It's our greatest measure of courage. Become more vulnerable psychologically. There's no shame in that. Share your burdens. Last night I presented a webinar to a bunch of fellow mentors at The Character Company, a program that I lead, where we also equip mentors with emotional wellness tools, methods, and techniques, because we all suffer, right? And we create this forum once a month where we just open up, and guys open up and they get really emotional, and with the understanding that it stays there, but we need to do that. Gone are the days where we say cowboys don't cry. It's a farce. It's rubbish. And the next important thing, or three important things, in fact, I believe, is to build strong relationships. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not stuff around. Let's agree that and get and have the understanding that we can't deny the fact that relationships are the super glue that holds everything together. Relationship with your God, with you, with your inner circle, including your spouse or your life partner. And then it circles out from there, colleagues, friends, family, etc. And the stronger relationships we've got, the more we are willing to open up, talking about vulnerability. And I see it in coaching interventions that I do, where initially the coachee will think, there's almost Madala Mlungu with this funny nickname. How can I trust this ook? How can I open up to him? And that's how it starts. And after 3 sessions, 4 sessions, we even get to a point where we both get emotional. And they open up because the relationship has strengthened to such an extent that trust is built. Build strong relationships. If you feel, well, regardless, if you feel you're getting depressed or not, make sure that you've got that in place in order to assist in this regard. And then 2 things that you maybe cannot do specifically as an individual, but talking about paying it forward, the people around you can assist you in this regard. And bear that in mind when you are teams at companies or organizations, that you can do this, create this culture in your organizations that includes, first of all, psychological safety, and secondly, open communication. So what is psychological safety? It's the firm belief that a person won't be punished, you won't be punished or humiliated for speaking up with ideas, questions, concerns, or mistakes. Secondly, create a culture of open communication, which is honest and transparent exchange of thoughts and ideas where people feel safe and confident to speak without fear of judgment. We are the number 3 in the world, look there, behind Kenya and Chile, in terms of social media use. I absolutely think that depression stems sometimes from social media use as well, or overuse. 3 hours and 36 minutes. It's the average amount of time that we spend as South Africans on social media. I don't do social media. I've got a lady that takes care of it. She WhatsApps me what the content, I approve it, and she sends it. Why? Because I think it's a waste of time, frankly. I've got other things to do that can add more value. And I'm not saying you need to have my extreme view on social media, because social media obviously has its place. It's got so many benefits and good things related to it. But if we overuse it and we look at people who actually curate their lives, driving or whatever, and spending time on the beach, which is actually a false pretense, we do get depressed because we are comparing ourselves to somebody else. Mark Twain said, comparison is the death of joy. My best friend says, the only comparison you should ever make on a human level is to the best version of you. And when you need counseling or help, there's no shame in it. Get help. If you need to see any one of those, psychologists, therapists, psychiatrists, please do it. My inner circle family, in terms of my parents and my sibling, all had or have been or are on antidepressants. I manage it through some of these things that I share with you. I'm okay. Otherwise, I would seek for help or seek help. And as a last resort, there's nothing wrong in that. Okay? Steve Marabali said, life doesn't get easier or more forgiving. We need to get stronger and more resilient, whatever it takes. I'm not saying this should be the first resort, but if you realize that the other things, also amongst the things that I've shared with you, doesn't work, why not look after yourself if that's what it takes? Whatever it takes, the moment is now to look after yourself. And then finally, dealing with burnout. So, what is burnout? It's a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged or excessive stress. So I think here is where it all starts in terms of dealing with burnout. Self-awareness. Why? Well, it's simple. If I'm not aware of the effects of what I'm doing or entertaining or thinking or talking to myself, then how can I deal with it? It's important that we become self-aware, which is our ability to understand our own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and to recognize how they impact our lives and the lives of others. Is it an important skill? Absolutely. It serves as the foundation for personal and professional growth. And you might say to me, Hekkie, I've got a question. Yes, what's your question? My question is, what if I don't have self-awareness? What do I do then? Am I stuck? No. If you don't have self-awareness, there's good news for you in the sense that go and research it, ladies and gents, if you realize that you don't have self-awareness or just general awareness. Like mindfulness meditation, there are many other tools, including feedback from others and welcoming that feedback and not seeing it as criticism, but as constructive feedback that you can review as the gatekeeper. You can decide always, is it relevant or not? Or is it a bunch of nonsense? There are many more ways in which you can increase your self-awareness. I believe another subtopic under burnout, we need to practice, and we owe it to ourselves and to others to put better systems in place to get to an ideal emotional state. Because if we drift away from that and we don't do something about it, and we go outside of that red line perimeter, then that's what that happens. Our brains become out of order and we get to a point of burnout. Think about road rage. If I go and ask anybody that committed murder, that's sitting in jail, bar premeditated murder, let's use the example again of road rage. Typically, those people would say to me, they're sorry, they didn't mean it, they didn't want to do it. If you have to buy time to say, now is not a good time, I need to pause and can we meet tomorrow, then you do that, as opposed to letting your brain go out of order and being sorry for it forever. So during my past months of travels, I had to charge all my devices. And I've traveled extensively here and to our neighboring countries. But the big question is not how do I charge my own devices. The big question is how do I charge my life batteries. That is the big question. And the question I want to ask you, because we're all unique, what are the things that charge your life batteries? I swim, I run like I did this morning. I spend time in the African bush. I enjoy motorcycling, but what works for you? And my invitation to you is to do that more frequently. I want to end off and say to you that across all three these emotional wellness topics that we covered, subtopics dealing with anxiety, depression, and burnout, please take note of all the overlaps. if you pull one of these levers, so to speak, it will have a positive impact on the other two as well. And that's important to note. Pay it forward, ladies and gents, like I said earlier, and take more time to reflect, to ask yourself, in being honest with yourself, am I heading in the right direction? And if not, what am I going to do about it to change my course? C.S. Lewis, final quote, said, "You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start right where you are and you can change your ending." And with that, I wish you all the best and success. And remember, only you can make it happen. I'm ending off. I want to just mention that this is our last one for the year, Free Friday Lunch webinar. We start again, if all goes well, in Jan. Or over the Christmas period, I'll put the new topics on there for the next 3-4 months when you access it in January. And now I'm going to stop sharing. If you have not asked me to be part of your LinkedIn network yet, please do so. I'll happily accept. And at this point, I am going to stop sharing. Have I shared, Rikas? I've shared, right? Yes.
Yes, yeah, no, it
Yeah.
was, yeah, you've been sharing the
Uh,
presentation all through. Thanks.
okay, good. I'm seeing the green arrow here. There we go. They stopped sharing. I almost got a fright there. Right, we are on the hour or half an hour, and I apologize if I went over a little bit. Maybe one question, ladies and gents. Disagreement, comments. Thanks, Lizette. I see that. Everybody's got another
Hekkie,
meeting right after it.
I
Rikas.
can, I can, I can just make a comment and say, well, emotional state of being leads people. If you're not in a good headspace, you make bad decisions.
Yeah,
In my world, I see the bad financial decisions that lead to worse outcomes, and that places that individual in an even worse position than they were before.
yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
it's so important to have a good mental outlook and state of mind.
And the bottom line is, just to add what you're saying, is we need to do something about it, right? We need to be intentional about it, and we need to take charge. And it starts by speaking up, right? All right,
Correct.
because thanks for that. Ladies and gents, on that note, I'm going to leave you. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a beautiful, successful 2026. Looking forward to seeing all of you in the new year. And hopefully you've got a lovely weekend as well. And may the Boks beat the Irish by at least 20 or 30 points. Have fun.